All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Craig Shelton from HMW. This is HMW Sports Talk Live. We're here every Saturday from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and we talk sports with you like no one else in Houston. I will not try to confuse you. I will not do the car salesman or mattress salesman routine and try to convince you that this is the greatest sports talk show ever in history. I will only tell you that this is the greatest sports talk show ever in history, and we do it like no one else. Here's what a TI is. It is what a TI is, man. We just got that swagger. All right. Look, a lot of free agency talk, Texans talk. Let's go ahead and talk about the Rockets because people want to talk about the fact that the Rockets have lost 2 games of basketball in a row. And how dare a professional basketball team lose 2 basketball games in a row to the likes of teams that are led by Kevin Durant and Joakim Noah. I mean, it just shouldn't happen. I mean, Durant's only the second greatest basketball player on freaking earth, and he was only playing at home. And the nerve of you to go into a road game and lose to the second greatest damn basketball player on the earth. Who are you? Are you Satan's children? How can you do that? I mean, it just shouldn't happen. You should never lose a basketball game on the road that's led by the second greatest player on earth. I mean, there's only however many billion people on earth, and this guy is only number 2 out of all those billion on the earth. He's only the second greatest ever, right now anyway. Calm down, people. Calm down. Calm down. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. The Rockets played well over this last stretch. You got big wins. It all started with Miami. You got a win over, who would get wins over?
Beat Indianapolis.
Indiana,
Portland.
and that Portland game was an awesome basketball game. You won some big games. Now, you've lost a couple tough games on the road to some pretty good basketball teams. I know Derrick Rose is not there with Chicago, but Chicago is one of those teams that's coached by one of the best defensive coaches in basketball, and he's kind of like Jeff Van Gundy. He's gonna win some games for you with his coaching style of having his guys come to play every night defensively, and they're gonna take some games. And to be honest with you, out of the OKC, Chicago, and Miami games, the Chicago game was the one I was worried about. Not because I thought they would beat OKC, but I thought that they probably really need that OKC game because Chicago is probably going to be one of those disappointing games for the Rockets on the road because that's a scrappy basketball team, a Thibodeau team, and you don't want to face a basketball team like that if you're not really ready to play that night. And I don't think there's any way that they're going to beat the Heat because of the last game in Houston, and I just don't think that the Heat are the type of team, because it's kind of a statement game, so to speak. The Rockets are an up-and-coming, upstart team. Miami's not going to take kind of that. Lo and behold, Miami's lost, 5 out of 6 of their last games, not playing great basketball right now. LeBron James' shooting percentage, anything over 15 feet is about in the 20% range. So not playing well right now. Guess what? Tomorrow afternoon, primetime basketball on a Sunday. Guess who's going to come to play tomorrow, Patrick Creighton?
Well, I hope he's not going to wear the sleeved jerseys that he hates so much.
Well,
because I can't shoot with these things on. Well, for the last week and a half, you couldn't shoot with them off either. But let's face it, he's LeBron James. All right, he's going through his little slump. It's not going to last very long.
No, it's over tomorrow. It's over tomorrow, folks.
He's ticked off.
For the Rockets.
A, he's ticked off because the Rockets just beat them. B, he's ticked off his team's lost 5 of 6. C, he just lost to Denver. Nobody loses to Denver and then they're happy about it, especially on the night where you have your nickname on the back of your jersey. So I expect the Heat are probably going to come to play pretty hard tomorrow. And, before this stretch of games where the Rockets were going to play 6 playoff teams out of 7 games in a row, before that stretch, what? Give me 4-3. I can live with it. Give me 5-2. I'm ecstatic.
And that's what you're going to get.
And right now, they won the first 4. They've lost their last 2. If they go 4-3, I can live with 4-3 because from here on out, they play 2 games that are hard.
Well, here's and Angelo, you tell me what the expectation should be, because here's where it gets interesting for the Rockets is And you know what? This is more about where it gets interesting for Rocket fan than it does the Rockets, because those coaches with the Rockets, Daryl Morey, those players in that locker room, they understand how it works. Trust me, folks, they understand how it works. But for you Rocket fans who just lose it, here's where it gets interesting for you. Let's look at the remaining schedule for March after the Rockets lose tomorrow against Miami on nationwide TV. When we're back here next week, let me see. I don't know, Richard Walker. If the Rockets win tomorrow, find something for me to eat right here on camera next week that I probably won't appreciate. I tell you what, I'll drink a glass of that awful green stuff with the veggies that my wife blends up and she makes me drink. And she expects me to smile while I'm drinking it. Not only does she expect me to drink those horrible vegetables she makes me drink, she wants me to smile when I'm doing it.
I ate dirt, and I was thankful.
Looks like baby waste, man. It's green. It's like baby waste. And I don't mind drinking healthy stuff that's nasty, but I shouldn't have to smile. I'm a grown man. What was I talking about? Oh, okay.
Toxic slut.
So no, but here's for you Rocket fan. After the Rockets lose tomorrow to Miami, here's the rest of the schedule for March. I'll just give you the teams. Utah at Toyota Center, at Minnesota, at Cleveland, Charlotte at Toyota Center, Philadelphia at Toyota Center, and the Lakers. Folks, only 2 of those games on the road. I'll just go out and say those are a pretty manageable 6 games to finish out March. The Rockets will end their 3-game losing streak to teams that, with the exception of Chicago, is probably not a better team than them. But OKC and Miami are better than you, Houston Rocket fan. They are. Those are better basketball teams, more continuity. You may have more upside long term. They're better than you right now. Chicago, you are better than Chicago in a 7-game series. You should beat Chicago. And then April comes into play. And when April comes into play, I highlighted only 3 games that I would say are probably no-brainer losses. There's an OKC game that doesn't have to be a no-brainer loss, but they have your number. You don't play well. You don't beat OKC. So, maybe you get it together and you do that. There's a game with San Antonio, and there was one other that I thought I made note of that there was one other. Maybe it'll come to me. Now, what concerns me in April, and there's only about 10 games on the schedule in April, is do the Rockets do what they did last year? You got a couple matchups with Denver. Do you blow games against a Denver? Do you go to New Orleans? And that's a young team that can beat you if you're not ready to play, with an exciting young player in Anthony Davis. See, that's what we'll find out if the team is mature. Do you do what you did last year and jump out there and lose a couple games you have no business losing, guys?
Well, last year they were losing games to the Suns down the stretch, and the Suns were awful last year, and it was just a head-scratcher. The team is different this year, and obviously the addition of Dwight Howard, the emergence of Terrence Jones, this is a different team. They're not losing games. They're beating all the teams that they're supposed to beat. Mm-hmm. When you look down their schedule, like I said, they have 2 hard games the rest of the season. They got to play OKC, and they got to play San Antonio the second to last day of the year. Other than that, it should be straight victories because they don't play anybody tough. And if you take a look at San Antonio's schedule, 7 of their last 9 are against
San
good
Antonio's
playoff teams.
Is a little rough, yeah. But the Rockets are not going to overtake San Antonio and win this division. No. I mean, so that's not in the argument for me. Is it for you, Angelo?
No. You know what's funny? Locally, I've heard a lot of talk that basically San Antonio should be a cakewalk for the Rockets, and I'm not understanding where that.
Well, I just think it's a bad matchup.
Yeah.
I don't think the San Antonio matches up. That's a different argument. The Rockets winning their division is not going to happen. But the Rockets in a matchup against San Antonio may be a better team every other day of the week, but they don't seem to match up as well against Houston, and that's what it's all about. We don't match up well against the Clippers. I mean, that's basketball.
I think it's worth watching, though, because keep in mind, it's not just, who the Spurs have to play. It's the fact that Popovich is going to rest guys down the stretch. Always does. And you're going to rest guys against a very difficult schedule.
But we have this conversation to say what? the Rockets are going to win this division?
It's possible,
It's not going to happen.
but it's possible, and it's
I'll
worth
drink
watching.
2 glasses of that awful green stuff that my wife wants me to drink, and I'll smile when if the Rockets win this division.
It's worth watching.
I just don't think that it's going to happen. We're pretty close to a break. Is that correct, guys? Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to a break. We won't talk about the Rockets getting beat to death tomorrow in Miami any further. We'll go back to the NFL free agency because I want to talk about the quarterback position. We'll look at this list of free agent quarterbacks, and we're going to try to determine collectively a guy that maybe should be on the Texans roster as a backup that would actually play a positive role on this team. Stop being arrogant, Texans snobs. Somebody out here is Texans worthy as a backup to help groom a young quarterback, and we're going to try to identify that guy right here on HMW Sports Talk Live when we come back from this break, all right? That's what we're going to do.